Hello again, and welcome to GoldSpring Reflections. Our episode today is going to be focused on what we learned from our last episode, which was talking about the incredible conditions of the airline industry today, and then what happens that buyers might need to consider, and downline effects even into the TMCs. There's an article that came out today saying that more than 7,000 flights were canceled just over the weekend. So tremendous disruption and creating a lot of industry issues. Neil, what say you about all of this?
Yes, and firstly, well pointed out, because that 7,000 number is the global number. So this is not just a US phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon. So all our global programs need to be aware of this. Well, first thing we've got to do is understand what's causing all these flight delays. And we've heard, obviously, that it's labor shortages, really. But if everything went according to plan, then probably the flight schedules could be executed as planned on the given day. But what is missing from the current setup at the moment is that contingency resource for when things don't go wrong. So when that pilot misses the flight or somebody calls in sick, then they're waiting airports, they're building up their hours, they need to get off duty, and the ripple effect is much more pronounced because there is no resource as there was before to step in. That tells us that this problem is not going to go away overnight. We saw recently from some hotel information, but we saw that the last couple of months there'd been a flattening off on that return to travel. So really, it seems, my take on that is that we would have pushed the limit of how much travel the system can support at the moment. It's maybe that's just all the capacity that is there, and maybe some travelers now are even being more reluctant to travel because of the disruptions. And we've all heard of the flight delays. This has got to be having some impact on the TMC world. Cindy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, really good point, Neil. Yeah, travel confidence, as we all know, is really low. I mean, you turn on the television, you listen to all the different news media outlets, social media, all you hear about are traveler delays, cancellations, long lines at airports. So what's the end result? The travelers are not using their OBTs and the mobile apps, so they're calling the TMCs. When they're calling the TMCs, they're asking a lot of questions, and the call times are longer, and the TMCs are already having labor shortage challenges, and this is just exasperating it. So really, really critical to communicate to those travelers and ensure that they use those OBTs, they use those mobile apps versus calling, because at the end of the day, if this doesn't happen, labor shortages exist ongoing, they're going to end up paying a higher transaction fee from a travel program standpoint. So we really need to communicate out to those travelers and continuously educate them. What are your thoughts on that, Neil?
So I was listening to I'm going to get onto a pricing point in a minute, but I was watching Will Tate on a webinar earlier on talking on the same subject. A few takeaways that we got from that was really preparedness, right? Apart from the communication we've already spoken to, but preparedness, and that's making sure for travelers be aware when you're taking the trip. Try and do some things like avoid checking in your baggage, packing extra clothes, gear if you to making sure you keep your medication with you, and just anticipating that this is much more likely to happen maybe than not, certainly much more likely than before. What else can buyers do in the relationship with their airlines? Buyers are going to be, or corporate travel is going to be buying in those higher tier buckets now, those high inventory buckets. So flexibility may not be an issue. We're perhaps buying more flexible tickets, but it's certainly going to be more expensive. But if you need to refocus some airline negotiations, then perhaps pay more attention to those tier 1, tier 2 fare classes as well. Also focus on and maybe some additional flexibility in the account for unused tickets, etc. And also anything you can do that recognizes corporate travelers and prioritizes them in these situations: denied boarding, rebooking quickly. Get your travelers to use the mobile apps so that they can communicate regarding their itinerary with the airline without having to take a 3-hour-long queue at the airport, would be my advice. Anything to add there, Cindy?
Yeah, all good points, Neil. And it really goes back to some of the technologies that the TMCs are providing to those travelers to make sure that they utilize them. Because we all know COVID has changed a lot of the service configurations, not necessarily the technologies and the digital aspect, but the service configurations. And companies that had dedicated counselors moved to designated. Many moved into call centers to help mitigate the labor shortages and those challenges. So again, travel buyers need to promote using those mobile apps, using those digital technology solutions, and continuously discuss and monitor with their TMCs what is the best strategy for them going forward, as their company progresses and really comes back to travel. So Will, what are your thoughts on all this?
Just terrific insights, Neil and Cindy. Thank you so much. What I heard you say is communication is more of a priority than ever before. What I heard you infer is that the travel spotlight is still very brightly shining on the travel manager and the travel team. So this is a great moment to build community and build that communication strategy that you can then build trust with your program. Thank you both for sharing. Please join us in our next GoldSpring Reflections, where we go deeper into the TMC side of this same issue. Bye for now.